Hey everyone, it's Kai. Today we're going to do something a bit different, a bit special. That's because we're nearing the 10th anniversary of Vanguard, the official one, the correct date, right? It's going to be on Friday, the 26th. And they're going to do like some stream and all that to celebrate. And I was thinking, maybe it's time we took a look at 10 years worth of Vanguard. And I've nearly been playing for 10 years. I've played for 9. I started in 2012. So I've played a lot of Vanguard, and I was just basically going to go through every year of it, when I joined a tournament, what deck I brought, or any significant events, and kind of give you like the behind the scenes stories behind why I chose the deck, or what happened at the tournament, etc, etc. Now, it might sound like I'm trying to flex, and no, because you'd find out that I lose a lot, and that I actually don't win a lot at Vanguard at all, especially compared to everyone at WCC. I'm pretty inconsistent. So you get to hear some funny stories on why I lost and how I feel bad. Alright, but firstly, let's start off with the first deck that I ever built. And that was this deck. Now, the story behind this, I think I would have told this before, is that my friend Alan said, hey Kai, there's this cool game out that everyone is playing. They play the Japanese format, and while you're in Japan, you might as well get a deck, get me a deck, and get yourself a deck, and we can play and join in on the fun. And at the time, I kind of quit card games. I played like Yu-Gi-Oh like 3 years ago and stopped because I got busy. But you know, now I had a lot of free time to do. I was like, sure, I could. I'll just buy some trial decks, and we can start playing the game. He goes, no, don't buy trial decks. Trial decks are really bad. Just buy something. And I'm like, well, I don't even know how to play the game, so I don't know what to buy. So me being a big brain guy, I went to the CF Vanguard deck recipe place, looked up the national winners, and just copied a deck from there. And I didn't know that BTO5 was coming out like in 2 months, so this deck would just be absolutely trash. But yeah, I bought a Royal Paladin deck for him. It was like this with Soul Saver and all that. Pretty cool if BTO5 didn't come out with MLB. And then I built myself a Goku deck because I was like, might as well get another deck. Apparently it looked pretty easy and cheap. So yeah, let's build this. And yeah, it was cool. I don't know anything about Vanguard at the time. People ask me why I run Blue Blood. I'm like, I don't know. He's a pirate and he looks cool. He's 10k, right? So I don't know why. So after that, got the deck, played for a while. BTO5 came out, felt bad. But overall, yeah, this was basically my first deck. Especially when someone tells you just don't buy a trial deck. What are you gonna do, right? At least I could read enough Japanese at the time to realize that this was the senior winning deck list, and I didn't build the junior one because, you know, seniors greater than juniors, right? The brain power way bigger. So yeah, that was my first deck list. It was Goku Overlord. And the funny thing is, right, like, even though my friend told me not to buy a trial deck, like Goku comes from a trial deck, right? And Overlord comes from a trial deck, so yeah. this is nearly a trial deck, I think. So that was my first deck. Now, 2012 was also the first time I went to a tournament. For that, I brought OTT. This is near the end of the year, and I was used to like tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh where it's like, you know, best of 3 and, you know, X2s make it. I didn't know that it was gonna be best of 1 because no one really told me. So I brought OTT, and this is the beginning of something called like 4 grade 3 pain, I'd like to call it, because in testing, this was like great. The theory was great, you know. If you OTT, if you missed your ride, then it just means you know more of your stack, right? So you could just keep on winning. I went like 0-2 at this tournament. Like first nationals 0-2. First game I was like stuck on 1, and then the second game I was like stuck on like 2. I didn't get my Tsukuyomi right, and I was like, wow, this feels really bad. This deck just doesn't work anymore. And with 12 crit, you have no draws, right? So you just can never draw into your good stuff. Especially like Tsukuyomi. If you look at your 1, if your 1 reveals like 3 3s, then you're just royally screwed, right? Or like your 0 reveals like X2s, you're like, oh well. Looks like I'm not getting off my ride chain at all. So I did pretty badly here. I played Weiss as well at the time, so I played Weiss and whatever. That's fine. It was just a quick day. First time at the like nationals. Didn't expect much. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Fast forward, we go to 2013. There was only nationals at the time, right? There was no Springfest or anything. There was just one big tournament that you looked forward to, and that was it. And in Australia, we had Japanese format, but I think by the time 2013 rolled around, English was in full swing, and they kind of cut the Japanese Vanguard tournament. We still had the Japanese Y Schwartz tournament. That was pretty cool. But yeah, this was the deck I brought to English Vanguard. So kind of weird. It looks like a trash deck, right? At the time, the trial deck for Liberators came out, and the booster pack hadn't. Now, I didn't have an English deck because I still played Japanese at that point in time, because it was just much more ahead. The cards feel better. We already had a collection. We had a big player base still, although it was kind of casual now since there was no more big tournaments. It's still like the local tournaments still allowed you to play Japanese cards, so we still stuck with Japanese. But this time the Nationals at Sydney, so it was just home turf. We might as well build a deck for it, right? Might as well build an English deck. So I built this. This was the jankiest deck of all time. I could have played Battle Sisters, OTT Battle Sisters with like Scarlet, right? The Soulless OTT build. So I could have built that, but I was like, I like Liberators. I like Paladins. So I built this, and I didn't know what grade 3 to put in, so I had to put in this piece of junk, this PR. I think it was like a box topper or something. This deck went like 2-0, and then I went X2. I like lost 2 straight after that. So yeah, didn't do well. Now for Y Schwartz though, I actually did okay. I went X1, but because this was the Japanese side, they basically determined top 8 by pulling it out of a hat, right? Literally pulling it out of a hat. There was 10 players. Well, there was 2 X0 players and like 8 X1 players. So 2 people will not make it. I was one of the 2 people that did not make it. My score was actually, my resistance was actually pretty good, because they did do like a computer, they inputted the results on the tournament for some reason to cut to X1. They had to do the Japanese way, which was pull it out of a hat, randomize it. So my resistance was really good. I would have made it if they just did it based on normal top cut rules, but they did the hat rule, so I got cut, and I felt pretty cut after that. Cut for like nearly a whole year, right? Because next year in 2014, I actually didn't go to Nationals because I was kind of like annoyed, like super annoyed, because no, there was no actually no, I think there was a Japanese Vanguard tournament, but I just couldn't be bothered. I didn't want to waste money to go to Melbourne just to play in tournaments, best of 1 tournaments and die. But that aside, 2014, I still built decks. And I guess I'll reveal one of like the most fun decks I had. This is called the I Made All My Friends Quit the Game deck. And it was just Die Kaiser with Metalborg, right? Now, we all know I think we know what this deck kind of does. Just bear in mind as well that a lot of these decks, I'm trying to remember how I built them, and it's been a long time. And unless I topped the deck, I don't take a picture of the deck at all. So just a warning, not all of these decks are gonna be perfectly how they were, but this deck is pretty much there, right? It's just, you have Laurel, you have Die Kaiser, you have Metalborgs. Metalborgs has the grade 1 guard restriction, and then you get the crit from the Die Kaiser and the guard break. They can't guard with Sentinels. You have Laurel, bam bam, you kill them from 2, and they quit the game because they can't play because no limit break or anything like that, right? Or they don't get any damage to do anything. So yeah, this made a lot of people, all my friends, quit the game for a while. And the funny thing is, like, when people try to play this deck, they always misroll. They never go to the Laurel. Yeah, man. So this was kind of fun, but that was 2014 nutshell. Nothing really happened. Now 2015, I don't know why, but we played again. We played Vanguard again, and although there was only an English tournament, we didn't mind. We started getting we wanted to take it a bit more seriously. I think in Springfest, we judged Springfest. Basically like the boys, the Sydney boys team, right? We judged Springfest, and it was like, man, you know what? We could actually play English Vanguard, and I think we'd do pretty well. So that's why we started getting a bit more interested in English Vanguard. Now, this was the deck I took to Nationals. This was a Revengers deck. This deck I definitely cannot remember very well because I didn't build the deck, right? If I built the deck, I would be playing a totally different deck. I would be playing the Phantom Blaster Dragon Break Ride build with the Phantom Blaster Abyss, because that was just the best Shadow Paladin list at the time. But because I had no say in how to build it, and because English is very hard to collect cards, I had to just play a pure Revengers list because I had to borrow this from a friend, and there was no way that he was gonna be able to afford Phantom Blaster Dragon. break rights because they were heaps. They were GRs, right? So super expensive. Funnily enough, I went X2. I lost the first game to a Great Nature player. Then I won like 5 games in a row. And then I lost the 7th round to another Great Nature player. So I went X2 and I definitely couldn't make it. And that was it, right? This was the last, I think this was the last time I'd borrow a deck. We decided we're gonna get serious and get our own decks to prepare for next year. And yeah, I was gonna get a Great Nature deck then, but Mark really wanted a Great Nature, so I just said, I guess I'll figure something else out. So 2016 rolls around, Springfest. So now we can start to see some deck lists on the website because we won Springfest. That means I don't have to remember what deck I played because they already have it there. So I played Chaos Messiah. So Chaos Messiah was pretty cool. At the time, a lot of people were still on the Chaos train, pure Chaos train. Like the West back then really had this thing about pure decks, right? They go Revengers or like Shadow Paladin, you gotta play pure Revengers, you know? Chaos, you gotta play pure Chaos. So Chaos Messiah was just really good because you'd play against a Chaos player and you'd have the Messiah engine and just demolish them, right? And this deck basically demolished every single other deck in the format, except for certain decks, like 7Cs had a decent matchup against it, which is why we took it, like non-cancer 7Cs. But yeah, so this was pretty much what I took to Springfest, and we won that, so we qualified for Continentals. And I did a big mistake going into Continentals. So the big change between Springfest and Continentals was that the G-Zone was going to be expanded to 16 cards. Right, we have 8 here, it's going to become 16. Now, one of the other big things was that I was also preparing, like, we were trying to big brain the meta and think what is going to be played, and I think Kyogre was one of the big decks that was coming out, and we playtested against that because, you know, Denial Griffin, all that stuff. And we playtested that matchup a lot because we thought it would come up, but it actually didn't come up. And at that time, we realized Kyogre was like kind of this swingy deck that wasn't as good as we thought it was. Like, it was definitely a strong deck, but it wasn't a tier 1 deck. It was like a tier 1.5 deck. You had things like Angel Feather that was like, had like 4 Refrost, right? So we could just super loop and win. You had those Sanctuary Guard that no one really wanted to play because it was kind of just YOLO. Gear Chronicle became stronger, really strong, and that's what Mark played later. But I was stuck on a deck that I didn't know, like, I didn't know what I was gonna play for Continentals. Eventually, I settled on another Chaos Messiah list. This was based on just Darton's list that he played the previous day at Singapore. He went like undefeated with this deck, but I definitely should not have picked this deck. This is definitely something that I need to learn because this deck, you definitely can't just pick it up and go, okay, I know how to play this deck. I thought this was going to be a comfort pick, right? Because I played Chaos Messiah before, I knew how to play it, but situations change when you have like 16 G-Zones. I think I'm missing, there's supposed to maybe like a Trans Elves Messiah here, but yeah, things really change when there's 16 cards of G-Zone, there's G-Guardians and all that. There were some changes to the deck list that I wasn't very used to, so I performed pretty poorly at Continentals. Like in hindsight, I probably should have just played Kagero, because I mean, I played that deck quite a bit, even though it wasn't the best pick. I think at least I still knew a lot of the ins and outs of it, so I think I probably would have done better. But yeah, no, I did pretty poorly. Actually, like, but overall, I think the whole team did didn't do that great, because it was also our first time out at Continentals, and the rule set was very, very different, and the player caliber was very different as well. Like, I think time was a huge issue at Continentals, because I mean, we brought Angel Feather, we brought Gear Chronicle, and I think on the first round, basically all of us went to time. So all of us got double losses, and I was just like, what? All of us get double loss? So what happens? And then I think like time was such a big issue that even I think a 3-3 team made it to finals because everyone got double loss so bad there was like no undefeateds. But no, that was actually like the time rule in Australia and time rule in Continentals was very different, because in Australia we had best of 3s. In top cuts we had like 3 turns kind of thing, 0, 1, 2, 3, while in Continentals is just like double loss. So like bring something like Angel Feather, right? Like loop Angel Feather, dumbest idea, because we just keep on going to time and double loss, right? So that was pretty eye-opening for me. Even for me, I lost to like some players that I thought I'd beat. I was like, Great Nature, big favorable matchup. He kind of just stalled for like the entire time and decked me out. So I'm like, whoa, crazy. So a lot of learning experiences there. But one thing is, yeah, definitely do not just go, I'm gonna take this deck to a big tournament tomorrow. I think it'll be pretty good because it's a comfort pick. I've played it before, but no, there's a lot of things that you definitely do need to test a lot out, and you need to don't just YOLO. Don't just YOLO, right? Moving on to Nationals, okay? I really can't remember what I played for Nationals. That year was actually crazy because this was the first time I went to like 3 tournaments. I traveled 3 times. Well, I actually didn't travel 3 times, but I was preparing for 3 tournaments in a year. Remember, the previous years, it was 1 tournament. 1 tournament at Melbourne, 1 tournament at Sydney. Maybe there was like a Y Schwartz component and like just a Vanguard component. So all in all, two tournaments, right? And then 2014, I didn't go because I just couldn't be bothered. Then 2015, it was still like 1 tournament and then Y Schwartz. I think I top 8'd in Y Schwartz in 2015. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, no, I did top 8 in Y Schwartz. So that was kind of interesting. Seemed to do well in Y Schwartz and not Vanguard. But yeah, so I was kind of burnt out going into this internationals. Now, it's kind of weird. Like after Continentals, I went into a huge slump in all my card games, right? Like Vanguard, huge slump, wasn't winning anything, just felt bad. Y Schwartz as well, huge slump, just didn't really feel it. Going into like the tournament as well for Y Schwartz, like I think I played, there was like Vanguard, English Y Schwartz, and Japanese Y Schwartz, right? English Y Schwartz, I was playing, I can't even remember what I was playing. Was I playing Idolmaster or something like that? I think I was pretty happy with English Idolmaster, but it just, yeah, it didn't work out. I think a bubble at X2. Japanese Y Schwartz, like pre-testing, I was just getting demolished every game. I was like 0x every game in testing. I just felt really bad. And then in Vanguard, I really didn't know what deck I was gonna take. Every deck just felt really, really bad. Nothing could beat like Timely Gear Chronicle. I mean, I could take Angel Feather, but I definitely wasn't prepared for Angel Feather. So I think I'm on like 1-2 with Angel Feather. I won the first game, then lost 1, and then played against Weerab. Right, this was like the second time meeting Weerab. He was playing Aquaforce and just lost, right? Got killed. This was also one of those 4 grade 3 decks that was really bad, where you just get stuck. I should never bring a deck that only runs 4 grade 3s to a tournament, because all I do is kind of get stuck. But I never learned. I was like, Angel Feather OP, I should just take it, but I got wrecked. Funnily enough, that year in Y Schwartz for Japanese, I won, so I went to Japan. So like I was in a huge slump, but I think the night before, me and Mark worked out some. Like Mark helped me out, like worked out some good additions to the deck, good changes, and the next day I just won. So cool story. But that only means that the amount of tournaments we join every year just gets more and more. You're gonna start to see, like at the beginning of like 2012, like you just join 1 tournament, 2 tournaments a year, like 1 big nationals, and after that, you got Worlds, you got Spring Fest, you got Y Schwartz for Spring Fest. Then you go like New Zealand. It gets crazier and crazier each year. So, yeah. Moving on. That was 2016, right? 2017 rolls around. I played Chaos again. This Springfest this time was not a team tournament. It was just a singles, and this was the time when Night Rose was a huge thing. It was like Night Rose, like the new Night Rose stuff came out, and like pure Night Rose was really, really good. There was like super long infinite combos kind of thing. And then of course 7 Seas was still around, but it hasn't, like, people know about 7 Seas, but it wasn't like super like top tier OP. Well, it was, but people haven't realized that yet. So people are still playing like pure Night Rose, and then there's some people playing 7 Seas, like Dylan, who won the tournament. And then I think GC kind of slowly fell a bit out of favor because I feel like everyone realized that Night Rose was the better kind of combo deck, right? Now our tournament came out. Our Springfest was around the time when GB8 just got released, and I was testing Chaos, and I was like, All Wielder is pretty good, I could basically lock the entire field, and then no deck could do anything, and then All Wielder kind of finishes games, because at the time, -5 is pretty darn strong. So I played this deck, I think it was this deck, there's like a lot more hand removal. Was this card even there? I think it was allowed. Like, I think it was around. But I also had a buy going to the tournament, so I reasoned to myself, if I play this deck, I'd play like a Night Rose matchup, which I'm good against. You know, if there's like a Royal Paladin matchup, something like that, I'd be good against that deck, and I wouldn't be facing the really random weird decks, which this deck might not be good against. Like you know, the Ezzels, right? Who play Ezzle? Or like Dimension Please, or things like that. So funnily enough, third round, start playing the tournament, I face against an Ezzle deck. And I'm like, wow, this is so bad. Why am I playing like a really bad matchup straight up? I beat that matchup though. That was really interesting. I managed to win. Then the next fourth round, I play against Dimension Police. I'm like, wow, why am I playing this matchup again where they don't care about their rear guards? I managed to win that. Okay, I managed to win that. Pretty cool. Then fifth round, I played against Nairos. I'm like, oh, good. Finally, I'm against the matchup that I kind of really want to play against, right? He rides straight up to 3 and double crits me, and I lose. Pretty bad. This tournament also, I played against a Royal Paladin player. I'm at 2. I like no guard is Ganslot, and like I think I talked to him before the tournament. He's like, wow, you're playing like Sanctuary or something. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you on the 16 crit train, buddy? And he's like, nah, I put in 15 crits, but I'm putting in 1 heal for the memes, right? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm playing against him. He goes into Sanctuary, and I'm at 2, and he triggers crit heal. And I'm like, wow. If you only didn't put in the heal for the memes, you would have won. But yeah, I go straight up to like 5 damage, and then I just control the game and win. So that was cool. And then I think the last round I faced against a Narukami player. The game goes really long, which is really bad for me because Narukami, they get to GB8, I can't do anything about it. So yeah, he wins that game, I X2 and I bubble. So unlucky, right? 2017, what else happened in 2017? Went to New Zealand in 2017. And we all played this. This is when we started getting serious. We started testing a lot. We all started playing the same deck. So like Mark and Andy here, they pretty much played the same deck as me. The only difference is I think Mark played 2 more of this effect crit, while Andy just played 4 for like no, like just straight up no effects kind of crit. But the rest of the deck is pretty much the same. Now, I go 0-2 at this tournament. First round, I get great stuck against like a Royal Paladin player, and he just crits and I lose. Second round, I played against a Genesis player, and yeah, I get stuck at like 3 really hard, and I can't play. So 0-2 going to New Zealand feels bad, but at least like, you know, my teammates came first and second, so that's a nice plus. That's a nice plus. Again, like Y Schwartz, I think I come like 4th or something. So Weiss. At Nationals, Australia Nationals that year, it was Chaos format. We all played Messiah, right? Because we were like going, if everyone's playing Chaos, then we should just play Messiah and we'll win. And we have a pretty good Messiah list. This was that one time in Japan when you saw Messiah tops quite a lot. Because everything, it was like either Chaos or Messiah, and then random deleters would come. And we're banking on the fact that the random deleter wouldn't spoil our day. So, I lost 2 times. The first time was against Narukami again. I screwed this one up. I did a misplay in pretty much the final turn. It was in time. Big powers because he was on like GB8 or something. And then I miscalculated something, so I screwed up my guard and I lost. So bad time. So I'm X1. I'm like going, okay, final round. I just need to win this. And then I played against the leader player. There is nothing I can do against the leaders because I also got grade stuck as well. I had, you see how many grade 3s this deck runs? This runs like 7 grade 3s, right? So I was stuck at 1 and I missed. And my hand is just basically like all the grade 3s. So he just went, oh, okay. Sure, I'll just destroy, just draw my hand and get out of here. So I went X2 and bubbled and died. But yeah, no, this was the list. Messiahs. I think so far I'm played a lot of Link Joker. You know, a lot of Link Joker. Yeah, so my whole life has just been Link Joker, you know. Whole life has been Link. That year I didn't qualify for Worlds, but I went to Worlds anyway, and just to have fun with my friends. I think because I didn't have to go to Worlds that year, we could test a lot. So like Weirab came up to Sydney. Me and Weirab was chilling. We were pretty much testing for like Andy. Pretty much testing for like Andy and Mark. That was the year where it was like Overlord and maybe an Aquaforce. That was the prime picks. And we figured out that Aquaforce sucks. Just play Overlord. And then Jesus won with Royal Paladin, so yeah. All right, 2018 time. That was a crazy 2017. 2018, we came second place at Springfest. I was piloting GC at the time. I was a middle player. Pretty cool. This was a really fun format. I really liked it. We had to be careful of like Gizes, so we had like the mystery freeze dragon. But you know, Chronojet Z was really cool. It was really cool. The Hetera round change came in, so we could only play one. At least I didn't go 0-2. Right, I didn't go 0-2 with GC. We came second. The final round, I played against a DI, and I couldn't win. My hand, I think I opened pretty poorly in that DI matchup, so he got everything he needed, and I can't do anything about it. Get dusted, GG. And then I think like Kelvin also got like he did a 1 to pass just so he could live and then win the next turn, because otherwise if he guarded with everything, he'd just die. The opponent got a crit and done. So that was it. That was also the Melody times. I think we tested this matchup so much, me and Mark. Melody, this Ange Melody versus GC, and like I think Ange was like a 70% win rate, so I was like, oh well, I'll just hope for the best. Hope I don't play Ange in the middle section, and yeah, we'd hopefully like one of these other guys would play Ange, and then would have a good time. But yeah, we came second. Unlucky, didn't get the win. And then in New Zealand, I played OTT, and Andy came third place with the same OTT list that I played. I really liked OTT the beginning because it was just super consistent, really good. For Swiss, I think I went X0. I think it was like 6-0. And I felt really good. I just felt really confident playing OTT. It was a great day. Top 8, I won. Then in top 4, I had to GSS twice. And then I lost in the OTT mirror. And then funnily enough, I played Andy for 3rd and 4th place. And the night before, I taught him how to play this matchup. I told him how to play the mirror. And yeah, he beat me in the mirror because I taught him how to beat me. We went like, it was like he beat me 2-1. But again, I think in one of the last game I played against him, I bricked. So nothing. I G-assisted and didn't get anything, so yeah, unlucky for me. But overall, I was very confident playing this deck. This deck was just really fun is like subjective, right? I have fun playing these super lame decks. This was kind of one of those super lame decks, and the mirror is like extra lame. You either like Deer 3 times, or you just sit there and hope someone decks out. So yeah, that was OTT. Then moving into Nationals, I play Shadow Paladin because Murakumo comes out. Zambaku is very good against OTT. I would have sticked with OTT if it wasn't for that Zambaku matchup, because I played against, like, I was testing with Kelvin and all that. Zambaku is so dumb against it. It's like a 70-80% win against an OTT. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll play Shadows, right? I'll play the Shadows. Shadows is pretty decent against Murakumo as long as I ride Phantom Blaster Dragon. And then what? If I play against an OTT, if someone's still bringing OTT, I'll just rush him and hope he doesn't heal 4 times and I will win. Because I did test that matchup as well, and it was just, you go very aggressive, you try to generate as many force markers as possible, and eventually OTT will just collapse because they just don't have the hand to stop you. Unless they heal 4 times. So I go pretty well. I was like a 2-0 or something. Then I played against an OTT. He healed 4 times. So I couldn't win that matchup anymore. I ran out of steam. GG. And then I think I played against like the Shadow Mirror for one of them, and I lost because I think I just wrote Dictator and he just had Phantom Blast Dragon and didn't have nulls, so I died. I kind of disliked playing Shadow Paladin. I was like, man, I'm never gonna play Shadow Paladin again. It just didn't feel consistent enough. I think like maybe I should have played OTT just because I was super comfortable, and if I played a Murakumo matchup, it just go, well, screw it, right? But I went with Shadows, and I don't know, Shadows just didn't feel like the deck for me. So I'm like, man, I'm never gonna play Shadows again. But then in Premium, luckily enough, Kelvin came second. He played against Derek. We're all pals now, you know, but yeah, we play this deck. We figured out the best build, I think, at the time for NLK. And, you know, we ran Bobos and we just tested. We realized that, you know, giving damage is a dumb idea. So we just don't attack in the mirror. So I make top 8. I play against Kelvin in the top 8. And at the time, I think I already qualified for Y Schwartz in New Zealand. Yeah, like New Zealand. So yeah, this the second day, I think I played Y Schwartz. I came like what, 3rd place. I qualified for Worlds. So Kelvin also qualified for Worlds at the time. So yeah, we played each other in the top 8. We had the Hall of Fame already. So if you guys don't know about the WCC Hall of Fame, it's like a list of achievements, right? This is the actual flex portion. You can see someone like Ryan. Look at this. All Cardfight Vanguard, huge list. My list, nothing. Like absolutely nothing. Kevin Cho, wow, champion. So crazy, dude. Kyo Togen, like insane, right? So there's actually an incentive for us to want to like win. I beat Kelvin in the first game because I opened all my Bobos, and then in the second game, I brick. He gets all his Bobos and win. In the third game, he got more Bobos than me quickly, and he won. So GG, right? But yeah, no, the NLK was actually pretty fun. It was just a crazy, disgusting deck that was crazy. Oh man, those times. But yeah, no, I went to Worlds for Wise. So moving on to 2019. I mean, there's no point in me talking about Wise because it's Cardfight Vanguard, bro. But yeah, 2019, played Kagero for Springfest. This is Springfest again, teams, standard, again, more tournaments. We went to Worlds, right? And then there's Springfest with like standard and premium and then Wise. Man. Anyway, so Kyogre Deck. The funny thing about this deck is I didn't know how this deck worked until like nothing really clicked together until the night before the tournament, right? So when I was testing this deck, it just felt like this deck lacked reach somehow. It just playing it the normal Kyogre way. You always lack that last turn to just beat your opponent, or your opponent just had enough to guard, right? And that last night, I was like, man, I'm super tired from all the testing. And then I just turned off my brain and the deck just worked perfectly. I was like, whoa, okay. I just don't have to think. I drop my entire hand like turn 2 and then I'll just win. And that's what happened. Like when I looked at a lot of lists, they played high grade 2 counts as well. I was like, why do you run so many grade 2s? It feels super inconsistent. Look at this deck. It only runs 10 grade 1s, right? But after that night, after turning off my brain, I was like, whoa, dude, screw grade 1s. I'm just putting way more grade 2s in. And that's basically how I played the entirety of Stand. I went X1. So I think I did pretty well individually. Our team didn't go that well though. Our team went like X2 because I think the one time where like Kelvin lost quite a bit, so he lost once with Mark and that was pretty bad, and then he lost another time with me, so that made us X2 and we didn't qualify for top cut. But yeah, no, I went X1. The only loss I had was against a Melody deck, and we all know about Triangle and Melody is screw Melody, right? Screw Melody. That deck is stupid. But yeah, no, I think this was pretty cool. This was before Force 2 came out as well. So kind of, I think this deck and Melody was kind of the same tier. Melody slightly high, but after Force 2 comes out, then Melody just dominant. This deck doesn't really benefit from Force 2 as much. So yeah. But overall, I really like this deck. I like this deck. It just, once everything clicked, once I turned off that switch, bam, deck worked like a charm. For Premium, I played the same deck as Derek Dow, the Derek Dow, right? We both played OTT. We looked at Rio's build and we're like, I like Rio's build. It's pretty good. Let's kind of build it for English format. And yeah, I think our deck was pretty much the same. The biggest difference was I don't think I like. So the funny thing is, our Springfest for Premium Collection was just after Solemn's one, and Solemn has a lot of fans in the world, and he played Shadow Paladin, and he played like kind of like a more different kind of Shadow Paladin compared to before. And I definitely wasn't expecting that. I didn't think it was that strong, right? I didn't think it was that strong. I didn't think I'd have like that bad of a matchup against it, but I did. I think I lost a lot of my Shadow Paladin games. When I played a Shadow, I think it's just like, whoa, you know, 9k really sucks against a 10k. So that was definitely a big miss on my part. I think Derek either just high rolled all his Shadow Paladins or just didn't play them, right? Because, you know, there's 3 slots. I think he was in player A, I'm in player B. So in like just a difference in seeding, right? So I think I lost like what, twice against Shadows in Swiss. And I was just like, it felt bad. But at least I beat Andy in top 8, so I think I was playing against Bermuda, right? It was like a perfectly easy matchup for me to win. I knew the deck inside out, and yeah, easy game, boys. But that was definitely a time when I felt like, and I think my teammates also realized that, was like spending a lot of time playtesting, like being like the punching bag for everyone. I felt like I definitely needed to work on my kind of playtesting more in the future, because that big Shadow Paladin miss was a big wake-up call going, okay, we really need to kind of maybe split the load as well. Maybe I don't need to play every single deck. Maybe I can get other people to play different decks too, and that will kind of be better in the long run. So yeah, but overall this was kind of the list. I think afterwards as well, we realized that Silent Tom just wasn't really needed. We thought like, yeah, you know, Silent Tom's pretty good with Ichikishima still, so let's just keep that. But after like playing the whole day, we're just like slamming and jamming with just new Ichikishima. We're like, yeah, screw Silent Tom, dude. Like, just play anything else. So yeah, I think like the interesting about Promised Dawn was like a last minute addition and just kind of worked pretty well, hitting 15k on stuff. So yeah, that's the list, boys. That's the list. And then moving on to New Zealand, played Murakumo. And then I think Andy and like Kelvin came like first and second, and they both played Pale Moon. Now I was like thinking, okay, at first I thought I was gonna play Pale Moon, but I was like, I don't know, I like a bit more interaction with my deck. So in the end, I played Hyuga, played Murakumo, and yeah, I think I went pretty. I think it was like X1 or something in Swiss, and then I think in third and fourth, in top 4, I played against Kelvin. You know how many grade 3s I run, right? There's like what in Huey you play like what 14 grade 3s. All right, this is 12 grade 3s, so not as crazy. But I got grade stuck at 3. I know, right? Both games, actually, both games. And the second game, I had to G assist into a like I missed grade 3 on the first game, and the second game I missed grade 3, and the second time I had to go into a Shiryuki. So like I don't know. I think Kelvin just has like an automatic, like if I face him in the tournament, he just can beat me. You know, it's just like a weakness, like fire and water, right? Like, yeah, pretty crap. The next day in Premium, Kelvin came third with a Gold Paladin list, so that's good for me because that means I don't have to build another Gold Paladin deck at all from scratch. Right? I don't have to remember it. It's great because we pretty much play the exact same list. I think I got out in top 8. I think I top 8'd Weiss again. So I basically top 8'd everything that one New Zealand trip, and I got all the mats, so good times, right? And then, yeah, so we played pretty much the same list. This is the beginning of when we were just on the train of Gold Paladin's OP, right? Screw DI, screw Katrina, just play Gold Paladin. And this is kind of like the beginning of the Gold Paladin list until like what Worlds, where we have that crazy GB8 list, the final version, the final form, right? But yeah, this was Premium. I played the same deck and got top 8. Next, we have Mordred. So remember when I said I wasn't going to play Shadow Paladin? Well, I lied. I was like, I played Shadow Paladin. Now, so I don't blame myself for playing Shadow Paladin, right? So, funnily enough, that year, Solom really wanted to play Standard. He was like, how do I make the Solom voice? He's like, I'll play Standard and Premium. Doesn't matter what. So we tested quite a bit of Standard, and the play testing basically just goes along the lines of I win first, I win, And then maybe Solon will bust out his Mordred deck and he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm the Shadow Man. I love shadows so much, and he'll win. And we basically, I think me and him, we played so much, we figured out, man, you know, this guy is so good. You know, Danger Lunge is like the best card in the deck. So we gotta play Mordred. So, you know, going to the Nationals, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll play Mordred. I was actually considering of playing this at New Zealand over Murakumo, but I was just like, dude, let's just play Murakumo. Let's just play Murakumo. I'm not super confident about my Mordred yet, but going into Nationals, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll play Mordred. I'll give it a try. I think I just went like 2-2 and died. 2-2 and died. All right, so that was disappointing. Yeah, I'm never gonna play Shadows. I think every time I play Shadows in a tournament setting, I never do well. So yeah, no, I shouldn't play Shadows, but I did it anyway. So I don't know why. And then this is the final deck of 2019. We've got Premium. Remember I said I wasn't gonna play OTT because, you know, I played so much OTT. I was like, I'm never gonna play OTT again. I still played OTT. All right. This time I play Mo. All right, because Mo actually built a really cool OTT list, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I want to play that and run like 4 Honolly just to like make sure no one else can play the game, because I am that kind of person, right? Super lame. Don't like to play it, but I really like this tech. This Harutsuki tech was really cool with Tsukuyomi. So I was like, dude, you could like draw 1 billion cards, and that's didn't turn out very well, right? I think this is like reminiscent of like my first tournament running Tsukuyomi. Now I'm running upgraded V Tsukuyomi. I think I got great stock. I got great stock again at like 3 because I couldn't get my Tsukuyomi, so I died like once and then I died twice. Yeah, I think I died. Yeah, I died 2 times and then I dropped. So I think one time I lost against like a 12 crit like Luard. The guy just crit me and my hand wasn't set up and I just died. So yeah, pretty bad beats. It was a bad beat. I couldn't get any more tops my Hall of Fame, man. I mean, I spent it all in New Zealand, so tough luck for me, right? Tough luck. So that year I didn't even top Weiss for Nationals. So yeah, but that's it. We all know what happens in 2020. I don't think I need to make any list for 2020, right? Because all we did was test Zarzan. So yeah, and now in 2021 we've got D coming out. So yeah, but that was pretty much a long time. A long list of decks that I played. And honestly, I had a great time playing them. Even though a lot of them were Chaos. Even though a lot of them were Link Joker. I played Shadows like twice and I hated all of it. But, you know, still love it. Still love it. I played OTT quite a few times as well. And I'm like, wow, I'm sick of OTT, but I still played OTT. I don't know. Luckily, there's no more OTT. There's no more Shadow Paladins later. They're new nations now. Unless I play in Premium, I play them. So maybe I should look into other things. And me and Derek were talking about this, right? We gotta find different clans to play. Expand our horizons, right? So yeah, looking into the future. Hopefully I play no more Shadows. I play no more OTT. I play no more Link Joker, because it's done. But I'll probably play more Link Joker. Let's be real here. Let's be real. But yeah, jumping back to be a bit more serious. These last 10 years / 9 years for me been pretty much a blast, you know? And it gets pretty hectic, especially when tournament season starts again. I mean, I think I said before, you know, this last year break has been kind of relaxing. But, you know, it doesn't change the fact that tournament season rolls around and it gets really crazy. But I have to say that the best part of these 9 years for me of playing Vanguard has just been meeting new people every time. The people that I play with and the people I play against. And the new people that you meet every time you go to a tournament. You know, you go to Worlds, you meet new people, you meet international people, and the people that you meet at these card games, you know, you'd be surprised, right? They might not be good at card games, they don't have to be, but you know, they have their own way of lives, and if you sit down and talk with some of them, you might learn something and appreciate new horizons, right? So all I can say is, you know, don't be afraid, don't stay clamped in your shell. Get out there, have fun, meet new people. This is one of the ways to meet people. You might find later on it's hard to meet new people, but when you have something in common with them like card games, then it kind of can get pretty easy. You know, there's something to talk about, and just reach out and talk with people. So yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who I know has been with me on this journey every time, especially Worlds, right? Going to Worlds, you meet that few people for that small period of time, but it's just always really amazing. The international guys. And yeah, I'd just like to say, you know, thanks everyone. It's been a blast, and hopefully we'll have more fun in the future, especially with overdress, you know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and see you guys later. Bye.